Welcome to the Sip and Saga Society, where we cover histories, mysteries, and just any story worth telling. Every week, Karina, Randy, and occasionally Greg cover a year in time while slowly traumatizing each other along the way. This week is our little sips for the month of July. See, I remember the month this time. Good job, me.
I'm so proud of you.
Yes. My name is Karina, and I'm one of your hosts. That was Randy and Greg. Say hi.
Hey, everybody.
The theme of this month is medical history or medical trial, so anything medical related. We chose this topic to go along with our book club pick of the month, The Icepick Surgeon: Murder, Fraud, Sabotage, Piracy, and Other Dastardly Deeds Perpetrated in the Name of Science by Sam Kean. Our book club is available at any membership tier on sipandsaga.online, and this month we meet on Thursday, July 30th at 8 p.m. on Discord.
And
That sounds
So,
I am fucking pumped. This is my pick. This month's my pick. I'm
so
ready, Freddy.
knowing nothing about that, just from the title alone, it sounds awesome.
It's
I
Yeah,
I'll be reading this book for the second time this time, and I can't wait.
nice.
You said about the drama, and I was like, don't spare me the drama. This book is history, but only if you were telling it like you were telling someone the tea,
Oh
which
yeah.
is I'm like, I'm so excited. It is so good.
Like
I'm also
for
very
me,
excited.
like Devil in the White City is like that, with the whole like murder aspect to it.
We
That's
really
another one I haven't read, but I think we should add to
Oh, you
our
haven't? I've
book
taught it. I
club
read I
list.
read it for like history competition in high school the first time, and I've read it probably like 8 times since then, I would guess, either in a class or like teaching it myself.
I was gonna say we should add it for next year.
It's a good one,
Both of,
honestly, for like
Hmm
fun history.
hmm
both of those books I have picked up and was like, I'm gonna read this, and then never read them. And that was it. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
read this one finally. It looks cool. The cover looks cool. Here's the cover.
The Icepick Surgeon.
I like it. The cover's right here.
It's gonna pop up. It will. It will whenever I finally edit this. I honestly, this last little sips, the music history really was one of my favorite ones to edit. I do remember texting. Okay, so my computer died, and that's why Little Sips was late last week. But I texted Randy, and I was like, no one's gonna be able to see my masterpiece. That is my Little Sips edited
Oh yeah,
episode on YouTube.
dang.
It
But it's
it
all
really
backed up in the
cracks me
cloud,
up.
right?
Yeah,
So
no, it's uploaded
yeah.
now, so it's available on YouTube now, Greg, if you would like to watch little
I
sips
might show it
about
to my sister as
music.
an example.
You should, because I think it's
Of what we do.
hilarious. Like, it's literally just me traumatized about bugs for half the time, and I edited in so many bugs, so many bugs. But I did tell Randy, I was like, I think this is my masterpiece. Like, this is wow. I think I've peaked, you know?
You know what's so
Anywho.
funny is I don't even think we talked about traumatizing bugs, but one of my, well, I don't know if you know this about me, Greg. I've told you Karina, but we don't talk about this often, but I try to be realistic about the fact that there are a lot of bugs in the world and a lot of different kinds of bugs in the world that I will encounter. And I try to keep a list of only 5 bugs at any given time that I am allowed to be utterly repulsed and walk away from, and the
Okay.
rest of them I have to deal with in
So what are the
some
five?
some shape, way, shape, or form. There are the last 2 slots are rotating, but
Sure.
the very first slot is roaches.
Okay.
Will not fuck about with a roach. I do not care. I do
Yeah.
not care. I will walk away. The next one is flies. Really hate flies. Really, really hate flies. The third one is a spider cricket. which we didn't talk about, but I thought a lot about when you were doing the editing, Karina, because I was like, she better not fucking put a spider cricket up there in my section for these leg holes. If I see it, I'm really gonna be upset. I'm just
One,
saying.
I don't know what a spider cricket is, but unfortunately for you, Randy, now you've brought it up. So now I have to put up a picture of a spider cricket in this episode, and that's unfortunate for both of us. I'm
Yeah, I don't
almost
know what it
100%
is
right.
either, so
Okay,
it's like
Yeah,
almost
guys,
well,
I'm
we're gonna
necessary at
find
this
out next
point, you know.
episode. Unless you're gonna pull it up right now,
no,
Randy. Are
I'm
you gonna
pulling it up
traumatize us with
right the fuck
spider
now. I'm
cricket?
pulling it up
Great.
right the fuck now.
All
This
right,
is
we can
my
all experience spider cricket together.
I'm
A regular cricket,
it's
Randy?
not a regular cricket. It's so oh God, guys, it's
But
disgusting. And not only is
oh,
it disgusting,
is
but
it the camel cricket one
they've got the
or the same
smallest
thing?
little bodies. They've got the smallest little bodies and these giant ass legs, and they can crawl on the ceilings and the walls. They're the worst. They're the worst. I can't actually look at this anymore. We're done.
Okay.
We're done.
I'm like, Randy, I feed those to the spiders.
Oh,
You feed them to the spiders?
Mm-hmm.
And no, they're
Yeah.
huge. Spider crickets
Okay.
are the most disgusting thing.
I love this podcast. Okay, Randy, spider crickets. And now, what's the next
Number
one?
four. Number four. So these last two positions are my rotating positions,
Oh,
and they're really regional based. So when I'm up here in New York, I will not fuck about with a house centipede. Those things, ugh, they're just really quite disgusting. Not about a
I
house
think I know what you're
centipede.
talking about. And like, I was, yeah, they're
Yeah.
yeah, I know what
weird
you're talking
and
about.
they unsettle me. Hmm.
And then also on
Okay.
that list, because of old New England buildings, are silverfish. I will literally burn a house down for silverfish. Now we're coming into a season where the silverfish are probably going to fall off, and I'll be really concerned about bed bugs and lice instead of house centipedes and silverfish. Like I'll do a swap out and I'll be like, okay, it's time to kill house centipedes and run away from anyone you think might have lice.
Oh, Randy, lice. Another traumatic. What are you sipping, Randy? Now that you've given us more bugs.
I have a fresh thing of water. I stopped and got some Chipotle for dinner, so I have a Mr. Pibb. And then this is not for the episode, it's specifically for the month, but I got some red, white, and berry Smirnoff Ice. Happy 4th, y'all.
Nice. I don't think I've had a
How cute,
Smirnoff since
Randy.
like high school.
I know every time someone watches me drink this, they're like, "You're sipping a Smirnoff Ice," because most people are like, "Just chug it when you get iced or whatever." I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, no, they taste good. I'm just gonna sip it."
They're delicious. They're like
They're
juice.
really
They're
good.
alcohol juice. I saw
Yeah.
I saw a bottle of Arbor Mist the other day and I was like, "Oh wow, it really threw me back." I was like, "That is basically juice. That is juice." Greg.
So first off, I was like, can I find a beer that's gonna like fit the theme, right? I was skeptical. So I'll tell you what it is, because it's a weird beer, like just in terms of what it is. It's a sour, but it's a whiskey barrel aged strawberry and banana sour.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. Okay.
It's 13.6%. So
Shit.
it's that's the barrel aged. Um, but it's called Patient Zero,
Oh, I
and it
love
has
that, Greg.
this monkey on it.
That is so cool. That is
So,
super cool.
yeah, what is this? Martin House Brewing Company in Fort Worth, Texas, uh, came in clutch.
Very nice. I
That
like
is
that
really
gorilla.
nice.
It's
I
staring at
do
me
like
when I'm holding it.
that gorilla.
You know, we're
Just
raising a
imagine.
whole
Greg, it's looking
generation.
into my eyes. It made eye contact with me.
Well, what are you
Oh,
sipping on?
I for some reason kept thinking mad scientist. And like that was the vibe, right? So
Yes.
so I went to the store. I had to get a Four Loko. I got jungle juice because I thought that was classic.
I like
It just
it.
felt right because I feel when I think Loco, I think college. I think you're just drinking the alcohol that you can to get drunk. It is not about anything other than being intoxicated and in the best ta tasting way possible. And I was like, jungle juice, Four Loco. That is the vibe.
I
I
love
really
it.
missed out
Anywho,
on that. I never did drink one of those.
I never drank
I,
it, like especially when
oh,
it was like
I've
the
never had
original
one
formula
either.
that like fucked people up.
Yeah,
I've
back
never
when,
had any of
no,
them.
Karina, back when it would
Oh,
like
so
kill
you're like
you.
trying this for the first time.
Yeah, I've never had a Four Loco.
Oh, all right.
But
Yeah, this is
but I
news
did
to me
never
too.
drink it when it was like potent, is what I'm saying.
No, when it was like you're drinking a Four Loco, like
No, like, yeah, you're
concerning.
gonna die. Your heart might explode.
Before you buy this can, please sign this waiver. Oh, I didn't even think about who should go first. Okay, I think Randy should go last because Randy still hasn't told us what her topic is. So it's a surprise for all of us. And I think it should remain a surprise as long
So
as
it's a
possible.
mystery. Okay.
It's a mystery. Um,
Yeah, me or you?
I say, Greg, you go first
okay, I'm
since
saying yes to that. But for
Okay.
my reason was that because people get smallpox and then they die, and I'm talking about medical cadavers. So
Okay. So it kind of feeds into each other.
Oh,
And that
yeah,
goes to wherever Randy's
in my
goes.
messed up brain.
no,
No,
mine has
yeah.
literally nothing to do with either one of you. It is so
Okay.
left field. You're gonna be like, "What the fuck, Randy?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm bringing Karina energy today. That's what's happening."
Again?
I told you, go. I'm going left field. I was like, "How can I make this as weird as possible?" I found a way.
I like it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah,
Greg.
I can do it. So I always approach these when y'all are when we're planning episodes, like thinking what do I know about like that topic, that's like in my area, right? So there's some stuff, but I was like, okay, I want to dig in. Oh, not good.
I don't know if I'm about the Four Loko.
Oh,
It's
did
it's
Yeah,
different.
I just saw your face when you tried it.
Yeah, I may change beverages here soon because I was like, "Ooh." It tastes like
oh,
someone thought about
immediate.
it's like someone thought about a mango and then they decided to put some gasoline in one and then leave it
Oh,
outside to rot and then make
Yeah,
it
that
into an
that
alcoholic beverage.
actually feels like what I would expect a Four Loko to taste like.
Four Loko.
When I think about Four Loko, I think of like, drag racing and stuff. Like that feels really right.
Sorry, Greg. Gone.
so I like there is some stuff that I was like, okay, I've got things I could talk about, but then um I was also like, okay, I need to just read more about smallpox because it has to do with smallpox, like in the colonial period, because that's like the thing that people are always like super afraid of, right? And like when you think
Randy,
about,
how often have you thought that?
About
I
smallpox?
need to read more about smallpox. No, I need to read on smallpox.
Oh, smallpox is like everywhere. Smallpox is everywhere, everywhere. I worry about
Randy, I was
smallpox
joking and now I'm
currently.
concerned.
No, no, no. I worry about, well, historically, yes, you worry a lot about
yeah,
smallpox. But currently, you should be worried about smallpox because the polar ice caps are melting. And the things that they're finding, the
oh,
dead
I guess
carcasses
it
and
could
such.
have it, yeah. Because I mean, I know
Well, some
prior,
of them, they found one that did. I swear I read an article about how they found a dead animal that had smallpox on it that they had gotten the exposure from the polar ice cap.
I did hear about
so
this. So really,
yeah.
my joke is that is unfortunately that we should all be concerned about smallpox, apparently. My bad, Greg. You're
Well,
on to
so like,
something.
so I was actually going to say like, towards the end of this, but I'll do it in a different order. Like, so apparently, like in 1980, the World Health Organization declared smallpox eradicated because like it had been like, like it's out of the population. Like the last person to ever like have a case diagnosed was in October 1977. So, like, I thought that was like, I didn't know that. I thought that was interesting. I'm like, smallpox has been a thing that people have had to worry about since, up until like not even that long ago. Like 1977, 1980 is like pretty close to when I was born because I'm turning 40 this year, like it's not that long ago in the grand scheme of things, which is kind of crazy. Um, and it was the first ever disease that they declared to be uh, eradicated, right? So it's like the first, I don't know, maybe the only. I didn't see any others when I was looking that they've been like, we have wiped this out and it's no longer something to worry about until the ice caps melt, and then there's stuff like that. That's basically the plot of the X-Files movie.
I've never seen that. It was about
Aliens in the ice, like in the polar ice.
oh,
I
well,
attempted
yeah.
to watch X-Files and then I got really scared because I was by myself and it was dark outside and I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But that it seems good.
That's just like what I thought of whenever, you're talking about stuff in the ice caps and melting and then like smallpox being reintroduced. So, I actually was going to talk about, so what I want to do is talk about like the development of the vaccine, right? Because that I think is really interesting. And give a little bit of historical context to that too, right? So, the earliest evidence we actually have for smallpox dates back to ancient Egypt, like 1500 BCE, around there. We found mummies dated to like around that period that have like the signs of like the scarring from smallpox, which I thought was really interesting. Like that's about as far back as we can go in human history and find like proof that it affected people. So this has been like thousands of years.
It is kind of weird because you don't ever think about how like old viruses are.
Yeah,
And I've never thought about um like a mummy at some point had a cold.
yeah.
Like that's wild. Like a person who was a
See,
mummy
you
or
know
is
the
a mummy
part that
now.
really gets me about that kind of stuff, like viruses and like multicellular spreading bacteria, stuff like that. I really think at some point we're going to understand that they do have some cognitive functioning somehow, because I don't understand how they can adapt and have this biological imperative, but what's reading it if there's no brain? You know what I mean? Like I think people should be way more scared than they are of those things.
Yeah. Or it's like with mycelium and fungus, where it's like it's not a plant, it's not an animal. Like evolutionarily, it is its own thing, like it's its own category. And the way that it communicates like across the network of tissue and stuff is like kind of weird and something you should be kind of scared of.
Yeah. I mean, The Last of Us was based on
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
No, and that's actual science, Karina. Like that's if you
No,
go talk to a scientist, they're like, yeah, that's entirely
Well, it's
possible.
like the one that like it takes over the ants, like in real life. Like there's a
Mhm.
fungus that,
Zombie
oh
ants. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yes.
it turns them into the zombies, and that's like where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I'm gonna say is
Um,
every time you guys mention something that is disturbing, I have to search it on the internet.
you should definitely look up like zombie bugs and stuff because it is
Oh,
wild.
oh.
It's like fascinating. Um,
I will do it for the viewer. You're welcome, everyone. But no, I'm laughing, Greg, because when we like hung out in person and I didn't live in New Mexico, one of the things we did was watch that mushroom documentary.
oh yeah.
And I was so traumatized. Randy, I was so disturbed by it. It was so unsettling. But bugs are
Obviously, a part where
the
it's cut.
mycelium.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, the mycelium was like because I
Meanwhile,
think there's a
I'm
point in the
upset.
it's like a Netflix documentary on fungus and that
Hmm.
there's a point where they like you can watch all these animals eat this dead rabbit or something and like they do it in like fast
Oh, it's like
forward.
the time lapse like decomposition. Yeah.
Yeah, but with like the visual effects, it was like, no, no, we're not doing that. I was very not about it. But that's the only I could think of was like, yeah, are weird. And there's a new show on Netflix. What's it called? Mating season, and there's a point where
Hmm.
one of the girls goes underground, and there's like a bunch of fungi, and they're like, "Welcome to the mycelium. You're one of us," or whatever. They're like in there, and we're like, "We love you." And it was like, okay, it's a joke, but in reality, mycelium fungi are very weird, and we do not understand them. I think they are the octopi of the plant world or the
Yeah.
earth world, whatever they are. Because they're not even plants. They're just like spores. I don't know.
I mean, they can break down plastic. Like they recently found a fungus that can break down plastic that might be like the future of uh like
Like
recycling.
recycling and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that to me, if anything can eat plastic, you should be scared of it. If it
Yeah.
can turn plastic into an honest to God nutrient, you should be scared.
See, and then it's like, how did this mushroom learn to do that and gain those capabilities? Like how
And then tell the
what is
rest
in
of
it
it's
that
mushrooms.
adapts to the plastic? Like
Hmm.
that's crazy to this man-made thing. Anyway, we are
Yeah,
Yeah.
really
sorry,
off
Greg.
topic.
We're
So
so
sorry,
off.
Greg.
We're so off.
That's all right.
Please
Good.
go back
You're
to
Okay.
trying to go to
smallpox.
inoculation.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
where we're
Okay.
going, right?
So all
Yes,
right, so I'll just go to inoculation. So like our first evidence for like where this is developed comes from around the 1500s in China. And so then that was eventually adapted by Europeans and obviously became a big part of European medical history. Um, so the name inoculation comes from the Latin in, right, which is easy to understand, like in, and then oculus. It's like a combo of that. And oculus means eye. And so, like in this case, like in Latin, that's like a metaphorical for a bud. So it's like the idea from horticulture that you're grafting like one bud from a plant onto another plant. Like that's kind of like the Latin origin of the term, which I thought was really cool. I thought that was interesting, like where inoculation comes from. So, um, the idea behind it, is that they would, it's most severely transmitted like as an airborne infection. So, like you have to be close face to face with somebody for it to pass to you. That's like the worst way to get infected and the most common. But they figured out that infection through the skin led to a milder, localized infection that still gave you immunity without all the terrible symptoms. And like, you know, smallpox is like one of those things you should just be terrified of because it literally covers your entire body in like this like blistery rashes that then all like pop and scab over and like the scabs come off and leave you with scars. So people would have like severe scarring all over their body from this. Like we've seen illustrations of indigenous people with smallpox and like the Spanish in the 1500s. Yes.
I was just trying not to interject.
No,
Um,
yeah.
that scarring, by the way, did not just live on their skin. It would go as far as their bone, which is how we
Yeah.
know that King Tut suffered from a smallpox infection because his bones were marred with smallpox scars.
Yeah. Like the diary that I'm like reading and writing this book from, like there's multiple smallpox scares and outbreaks over the course of his life, and it's always something that he's like you could tell he's really afraid of in his writing and the way he writes about it.
Okay, but it goes into your bones. So
Yeah.
me
Well,
too, Greg. Now that I've learned about the polar ice caps from Randy and about the horrors of smallpox digging into your freaking bones, how are we supposed to sleep at night, Greg?
I can't help you with that.
You know what you're supposed to do? Do you know what your ass is supposed to do? And everybody listening, go get vaccinated.
Yes,
That's what you're
100%.
supposed to
Well,
do.
Randy, to protect us against preventable diseases and continue to eradicate preventable illness?
I mean, this is literally like if you want like the evidence for vaccines working and like why they're a good thing, this is like the perfect case, right? In terms of like how bad this was and how big of a deal it is to like get rid of it. I mean, maybe the only other thing I could think of is worse than that would be like bubonic plague, right? Like Black Death.
Oh, God.
Like
I just
that
saw
would
an
be
article
that's
today
probably the
that
only
there's
other like really bad like pandemic level virus that's like that terrible.
they just found plague in New Mexico. So now I'm
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
sick.
Mm-hmm. I didn't have money on that. They didn't find any last year.
Mm.
Sorry, it's a
I,
call sheet bet. You can bet on these things.
Oh, you can bet on like
Yeah.
if plague is going to
People think
outbreak in the
people think
year.
I'm crazy because I only go on Kalshi to bid on the public health crises because I'm like, oh yeah, everything's gonna get worse because of who's in charge. So absolutely I'm voting for the highest number of measles cases in a year, whether or not they're gonna find the plague. I last year they didn't find any and I voted and I clicked that they would find one or more. Anyway.
damn.
Yeah.
Somebody made money on that.
It wasn't me either,
So
Randy. It's okay. Okay.
so yeah, go on. The first reference we have in China comes from a book, a writing, and I don't speak Chinese, so like my pronunciations could be way off. Like, I can give you my show note, like the rest of the notes, and like, you could actually write some of the words out. But the book's like the Daojin Zinfa by Wan Quan, and it mentions inoculating people, but it doesn't actually describe like how they're doing it. So like it talks about it and like its effect on people, but like it doesn't actually describe the process. Like I don't know if it's like trying to keep it secret or it just is just because they didn't think to write that down. But then the first time the process is ever described is in a later book, also in China, by Yu Cheng called The Zuyi Cow, which came out in 1643. So that's the first book that actually describes the process, which was essentially, well, there are a few different ways to do it. You could like sort of like blow it into like infect people through the nose, like specifically with like a particular type of pox. Or like the way that became more common was to make like a small incision in the arm and take like literally like a culture from the pustule of someone who had smallpox and or someone who had like a milder case, like once they can start working with those people and put it in the skin. So you'll still get like this area that like rashes out and like gets a little bit of a breakout, but then and you're sick, you have like basically the flu for a while, like, but then you have the immunity. Like you won't get it if the plague, like full on plague breaks out in the community. So that was huge. The first person in England, or well, the first time that we see any writings about it in England were in reports to the Royal Society of London in 1700. So that's how it gets into the English speaking world, which is like what I'm more familiar with because that's what I research. Um, and so the first person to introduce the practice in England is a woman named Lady Mary Wortley Montagu, who her husband was the ambassador for Britain to the Ottoman Empire. So she is like an elite. Her husband is the diplomat to the Ottoman Empire from in 1716 to 1718. And so she learns about it there because it's traveled the Silk Road, from China to the Ottoman Empire by this point, and they're experimenting with inoculation. So it moves first from, the practice goes from China to the Ottoman Empire, it spreads to other parts of the world, and then finally to Europe. So Europe's kind of a late comer to learning about this. And she wants to try this, and she calls on her doctor, her physician, a guy named Charles Maitland, because she wants him to inoculate her daughter because they're afraid the plague's going to break out in 1721. And so he does this, and you know, it turns out that, you know, no, she does fine and the plague does break out and all the people that he has, like, I think 6 people die. And so like obviously with like data and stats, like 6 of the people he inoculated died. But other people didn't. And so they're like, okay, we want to experiment with this more. And so they let him test it on 6 convicted criminals in Newgate Prison who were like, they had the death sentence, they were going to be hanged. So they were basically like, we'll let you go free, you'll get off, you won't be dead, but you have to participate in this experiment and like let this guy try this thing on you. Um,
Which, by the way, would not pass an IRB panel today.
oh, no, 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 absolutely
That
not.
would never happen. Well, I'm not saying never, but should never happen.
So by
But that
seven,
is
by the
similar. Oh, sorry,
Huh?
Greg. But
No,
that
no,
is
no.
similar to what happened to Ida whenever she went to the asylum, though, for like her crime. She had to get vaccinated against her will, too. I mean, technically, that's what's going on.
Yeah,
You have
that
no rights.
Yeah.
experimentation. Yeah,
You have no
because
rights anyway. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, the ethics behind all of that, of like, well, what choice do you have, right? Like, what choice are you gonna make in
hmm
that situation? If you're like, nah, just hang me, like, I
Greg,
obviously I'd rather
I'd
die,
rather not.
Yeah.
I'd
Um,
rather take smallpox. Yeah.
the fact that you can't have that option, you can't be like, I want a dignified death. Please just hang me. Don't give me smallpox is kind of crazy.
yeah.
It's a wild
Um,
way to force someone to possibly die.
yeah. And so it came to America that same year in 1721 as news, like writings about this from the Royal Society, and people are writing to each other about what's going on. And it reaches Cotton Mather, who is like one of the big Puritans in colonial New England. And he's actually like, we should try this. He wants to get his son and two enslaved people in his household. Like he owns enslaved people, like enslaved Africans, and he's like, I want to get my son and these two people vaccinated and, see if it works. And so he gets a guy to do it. Uh, and, the practice spreads, as news that it worked. And then, his kids didn't die and everything. Like this process actually works. It starts to spread in the colonial world in New England. And like, a lot of people weren't happy with this, right? Like we think and this kind of connects it to like modern day anti-vaxxers and like the debates and stuff with that, because like there were a lot of people that really did not like the practice and didn't trust it, to the point where like the guy who had inoculated Mather's kids had at least one death threat. Like someone threatened his life and like, he was like afraid he was going to get killed. It's religious people and religious pastors who are like leading some of these debates, right? Like I've actually read some of the pamphlets because it tied into a project I was doing. So there's a back and forth in like the colonial newspapers in New England between like different people arguing about whether or not like this is a good practice. And like, they're arguing in a way that like makes sense for Puritans who are super religious. Basically like from their point of view, God has sovereign will over everything, and everything happens according to his plan. So, like, if you get smallpox and you're supposed to die, that's what God decided for you, right? Like, who are you to question his will? Um, and so if you attempt to change that outcome, right, by doing this and trying to like not get sick and not die, you are challenging God's will and you're a dirty, dirty sinner. And, that's obviously terrible and you couldn't actually be a Christian. So, like, that's the sort of arguments that people are making um, about it. Um, and so, like, and
That's
even so,
crazy, Greg. That's
yeah.
crazy. That's crazy, Greg. If you don't want to die, that's against God's will. So,
Well, I mean, that's like really serious Calvinist sort of like you just view, there's no free will, everything happens according to God's plan and he decides everything. Like that's a strain of
Was
thought in Christianity.
But was no
it's
one
like if you
playing
sit in a
devil's
road.
advocate though? Because I would have been like devil's advocate. If I do this, God still could kill me, obviously. Like
You said
so,
like if there's an accident or something?
like if I get this, God, it's not like God's will stops. It's just a different way. It's just
Yeah.
right. Like it's just gonna manifest itself in another way.
All it
Yeah.
sounds like to me is like there's this guy who's just willing to stand in the middle of the road because he's going to say if God doesn't want me to die from a car accident, he's going to move me instead of moving himself out of the middle of the road. That's the vibe. And then
Yeah.
every he's going to blame everyone but himself for getting hit by a car. He's going to be like, "Well, that's what God wanted." You know what I mean? It's like, "What are you doing?" Anyway, that's unreasonable, but I'm still shook that this guy trusted vaccination enough to be like put it in the children. But that's
So actually, I
trusting the
know some of the
science.
backstory on that. Well, so Cotton Mather really wanted to be a fellow in the Royal Society. Like he was writing to people in London who were part of this. Is like I
Mm-hmm.
went and did research at their archives because they were also supporting missionary work, and that's really interesting to me. Like that tied into stuff I did for my PhD. but like, they're trying to promote science, like the new, like an empirical scientific method and stuff. And like, obviously, it's like they also are into like weird occult shit and other all sorts of other stuff because that's all kind of a free for all at that time. But like, they're kind of the leading like intellectual body in England, right? That's the idea of like what this group's founded to be. And like they had fellows who like people who are like a member of it is like you're invited into the Royal Society and that's like a high honor. Like you're really smart, you're doing really good science, like you're a man of intelligence, right? And Mather really, really wanted to be in the Royal Society, and I don't think he ever was made a fellow, but he would like do experiments on lightning and like base it on information he had about lightning in Europe to try to see if like the world had the same properties here versus there, because there's all theories about like civilized places and barbaric places and how like that might be different and stuff. Like science is not like what it is today, right? Um, so he wanted to be a member. Like that was really important to him. And so he like, reads about this and is like, this is totally reasonable. This is science. Like, he doesn't really like interest like there's a lot of things that like he has really fucking weird ideas on. But like that's like kind of like one of the few reasonable ones where I'm like, oh, I can see that. Like I agree with you. Like it is reasonable to try this out, and take the gamble. But wild that he picked his son.
I think I love people who try for notoriety. It
Oh,
just
and like
cracks
don't
me
get
up.
it.
Yeah. It's like you really it's like those people who like get stuck wanting Mensa and like can't get in or like you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah. No, he's an interesting guy because like he has a weird competitiveness with his father because his father's like a really famous minister in like the founding group of Puritans. And so he has this kind of chip on his shoulder where he's like in competition with his dad. Like even kind of like his dad publishes this big piece on honestly on like the proof of like witches and spiritual shit and stuff like that. It's like that witchcraft is real and he tries to like one up him with his account of the Salem witch trials. Like he's an interesting person. Like having read a lot about him just over the course of the shit that I do.
I feel like I want an episode on him because he sounds like a
I might
character.
actually have to put one together because that would be really interesting.
He
Um,
sounds like a good time, but also he sounds petty.
Oh, he is, and he's neurotic. He writes this.
Greg,
Oh no,
oh.
he writes this. He writes this epistle to the Indians, like as part of like the missionary efforts in the early 1700s. Like I read
oh
it, and I
no.
quote from this and use it. And it's like it's kind of like in that sense of like I'm writing like an epistle in the Bible. Like I'm writing this epistle to the native people in the Americas. Is like that's a little pretentious. I think.
Just a little. Just a tut, a skosh, a skosh.
Yeah, yeah, just a teensy bit. Um.
A little bit of self-importance, I see.
He's involved in the Salem witch trials. Like he's one of the judges. He's an interesting person. So I don't know, maybe at some point do an episode on him. But like another thing though to tie it into the American Revolution and like sort of finish the last bit that I was going to share with y'all. Um, in 1776, the Continental Congress actually issued a proclamation banning inoculation in the army. They were like, fuck no, we're not doing this. Like, we don't trust it. Like, to the point where the Continental Congress has to make a proclamation, and they're like, we are not going to do this. I guess because people are worried. I don't really know the backstory behind that. Um,
We are
I'm
not
not
going to do
surprised.
like we're not going to get vaccinated.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
it's
not
like
surprised.
specifically they
That
wanted to
is
issue an order
just
specifically to be like, just to be
We're
clear,
not
you're not getting
gonna do
vaccinated.
this.
I'm not gonna
Um,
lie, that for me reeks of when all of the when healthcare workers started leaving because vaccination for COVID was required to work with
yeah,
COVID patients. I was literally like, I know that this is my probably very unpopular opinion, but I was like, I know that this is a really bad time for healthcare, but like maybe those people shouldn't be working in healthcare if that's how they feel about being
yeah, if you're not willing
vaccinated.
to like take those precautions.
You're
And
not
you
willing to
clearly
do things to protect the
don't,
people you're supposed to care for.
but
Yeah.
also you clearly don't understand the science. So if
And
you're
you
not
should in your
understanding
job
the
line of work
science,
too, you
I
know.
yeah, I was like, those are the people who probably aren't washing their hands, don't have good hand hygiene. They're the ones who are giving, transferring hospital-acquired infections. There's the ones who are,
I knew a lot of Christian anti-vaxxers from my time stuck in Christianity, like when I was in college and beyond. Like people who were fully on the vaccines cause autism train and stuff like that.
I feel like
I
the people
don't.
that are not willing to get the COVID vaccine are not willing to get flu vaccinations either. And that means to me that you're not willing to do what it takes to protect the people that are in your care.
Yeah.
And
Well,
once again, you obviously don't understand what you're doing here and how
um,
your role comes into play to protect the people you're caring for. But that's just me as a past
Well, so to
person.
continue with the revolutionary thing, and maybe even stress that that's a really good example of your patriotic duty to get vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in 1777, when a smallpox breaks out and is spreading like throughout the area that is now fighting the American Revolution, George Washington said, "Fuck this," and overruled Congress and vaccinated everybody. Like, was like, no, fuck you guys. We're getting everybody in the army vaccinated because we can't afford to lose people.
Hate that dude. I
I
really
can
Yeah.
hate that
I
dude.
never know
Hate
with
that
that
dude.
man what
You
he's
know,
gonna do.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I was
but
like,
it's one of
this
those
bitch again. I was
it's one of
mad.
those times though when it's like, but I'm like, all right, like if I can find a reason to be inspired by Washington
Uh,
amidst the bad stuff, like, like I'll take it, I guess. I don't know.
right. I
You
know
know,
it's like, well, sometimes they get one.
Yeah,
Not great people can do good things sometimes.
yeah.
see,
Like
and
broken
I
clocks,
fully support that.
striking at
Oh, go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
I say like the broken clocks like being right like
Yeah.
twice or
Hmm.
whatever.
I said
Yeah.
that today. I
Yeah.
love that you're saying it again. I and ironically, what I said it about was Andrew Jackson.
So so I have a quote from Washington and I also like that just the way of writing sometimes, because it's very dramatic and I'm like there's a sort of Washington's also a very dramatic person and like that's an interesting thing about him. Like that's something I could go on about. But like he wrote in like his letters and like talking about this line, he said, "Should the disorder infect the army in the natural way and rage with the usual virulence, we have more to dread from it than from the sword of the enemy." Like basically like if smallpox breaks out in the army, we have bigger problems than like fighting a fucking revolution. Like that was more serious to him than like the battle, which I think stresses how fucking scary smallpox was, you
Because
know?
he heard that it digs into your bones. That's
Oh,
disgusting,
I mean, it
Greg.
covers people's, but no, if you look at, don't post pictures, but if you look at pictures of like, we have photographs of people with smallpox. It's like your face is unrecognizable. You look like a mummy because it's like covered in blisters. Like it's terrifying. Like
Mm-mm.
it is like horror movie level shit. So decide if you want to put a picture of that in your
I know. I was laughing again,
like
just like Greg
I'm gonna
saying,
leave that
don't
ball in
post
your court.
pictures. Don't post pictures.
A few decades later, by 1798, a physician named Edward Jenner published results of using cowpox instead of smallpox,
Mhm.
finding like that actually gave it like an even milder reaction than the variolation. Like instead of having this big scar on your arm, you would have just like one little thing, kind of like when people got vaccinated for polio and they would have like the polio scar,
Mm-mm.
It was like they'd have one little spot for like where they got the smallpox vaccination. Like they're gonna have a scar, but it's gonna be like that big, maybe, right? It's gonna be in one little spot. Um,
And in the public health sector, he's the rock star.
oh,
He's
is
the
he?
one, yeah,
I don't know
he's the
anything
one
about
that
this guy.
Yeah, he's the one that people talk about. He's the one he like when it's like this specific strain of smallpox that's like the weaker version that you're talking about, the cowpox.
Yeah,
And he noticed that two like farm girls went and had and like went through it. So reading about the inoculation, he is like, okay, I'm gonna try it, but with this one because when the smallpox broke out, the like milkmaids didn't have any
They
in
were always fine.
yeah, they were always fine.
Oh, that's
So
so interesting.
so that's why he was like, okay, let's do this. So, but because of that, because he like found the shorter one, he did a much tighter inoculation process. It was like he's the one that, at least in learning about it for me, all of my public health classes, he's the one that they zero in on as like really, really getting that smallpox vaccine a chance, because it didn't kill nearly as many people as the very first live vaccinate vaccine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you sometimes people still died. Like I guess there's a lot of factors, but that's really
But
cool. Like
less people died.
less people died. And we want even less people to die, beyond that.
Probably the
Um,
least amount of people possible today.
yeah. And then, they evolve into the modern thing and like, it is in theory until the ice caps melt, eradicated, officially in 1980. So, you know, that's that's where we are. But
That's
that's like a little
smallpox.
historical journey through the evolution of the smallpox vaccination.
That's wild, Greg. It's a lot of cows in that.